We are coming to you from Target Field, beautiful Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where tonight Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. Ms. Todd Frazier, Melky Cabrera, Jose Abreu in our Sox as they get set to butt heads with Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you what has turned out to be the third of this 8-game road trip. As you know, we had 2 with the Cubs at their place. That was the last 2 days. We're going to have 3 here, and then we're going to finish it off with 3 in Detroit. So in our 4-game series, Crosstown Cup, we won the 2 at our place. They won the 2 at their place. So we're coming in here, okay, but the best part about it coming in here tonight is Jose Quintana.
Jose Quintana probably should be, 3, 4, 5 wins better than he's been. Last time out, once again, he was absolutely brilliant. Throwing the ball as low as you can throw it against Detroit. Pretty tough offensive club. Should have won that ball game. Unfortunately, he didn't. The bullpen gave it up, and so Jose at 8-8. However, when you look at what he's done lately, 3-0, ERA 2.10. Innings 25 2/3. He hasn't walked very many people, but the opponent's batting average at 176. He's been brilliant, and hopefully more of the same as we get ready to head into August, and Jose gets ready to try to win 15 this year.
Well, the thing about it is Minnesota's in last place, but make no mistake about it, Jose cannot make a lot of mistakes tonight because the Twins have really been swinging that bat this month.
Well, there's no doubt that they're starting to heat up, and let's take a look at the team numbers in July. And the Twins, well, they are starting to hit the baseball. They won 13 games. That's tied for third. They had 274. That's very good. That's in third place. Home runs, well, they don't hit a lot of them, but they're doing okay. Runs, second, and hits third. So things are getting better offensively, and they're led by their young right fielder. Max Kepler hit a home run yesterday. He's hit 8 in the month of July. Swinging it real well. Let's take a look at 22 games in July. 15 runs on 20 hits with 8 homers. He's driven in 23 with a slugging percentage over 600. So the young man has done quite a job. And back home for the first time in a Sox uniform, Justin Morneau. This is what he did career-wise at Target Field. 279 with 20 home runs. That's in 203 games. So once every 10 games he hits a home run. Once every 2 games, he drives in a run in this ballpark, and hopefully this will be the 21st and the 2nd game back.
Well, we have played these guys 9 times this year, and we have won 8 of them. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Welcome back on a beautiful day in the Twin Cities. We're back at Target Field where our Sox take on the Twins. And it couldn't get any better. In fact, doesn't get any better here. So our Sox trying to put together a winning streak against a team that the ball club has dominated this year, the Minnesota Twins, who are without Morneau this evening. And we're going to celebrate the return of, without Mauer this evening, celebrate the return of Justin Morneau to a place where he played a whole lot of baseball and very much a fan favorite here in Minneapolis. So time now for the Kia starting lineup for our Sox. And now Robin will line them up. Adam Eaton leading it off. Tim Anderson in the 2 spot. Then it's Melky Cabrera, Jose Abreu, the aforementioned Justin Morneau, Todd Frazier, who over the last 32 has been hitting it pretty well. Then J.B. Shuck, Deandre Navarro, and Tyler Saladino rounding it out. The Honda City defensive setup, and now Paul Molitor is going to line up his Twins for the game tonight. Eddie Rosario in left field. Then it's Byron Buxton in center. Max Kepler, who's red hot, in right. Miguel Sano. Eduardo Escobar takes over the everyday shortstop position for the moment. Nunez was traded away. Brian Dozier playing second. Kenneth Vargas is at first. Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Ricky Nolasco, who got shelled last time out. There you see the numbers, 4-8, ERA 5.40. He depends on a big overhand curveball. When he's not getting it over the plate, he's got some big problems. The umpires for the game tonight, Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, is behind the plate. Jim Wolf is at first. Adrian Johnson is at second, and Chad Whitson is at third. So a whole lot of people here around the Twin Cities expecting that the Twins, who did make a move the last couple of days, will make another at least couple of moves here over the weekend. So it'll be real interesting to see just exactly who it's going to be. It's a very, very strange time for the players whose names have been involved. Irvin Santana, one of those names involved. Fernando Abad, a left-handed reliever, another one of those guys involved. We'll have to see how it plays out. Todd Frazier was just scratched from the batting order. So we'll have to wait and see just exactly why that is. But Todd Frazier, who was in the starting lineup until literally seconds ago, taken down. Robin came out. He met with Gary Cedarstrom. Gary Cedarstrom then walked over and talked to Paul Molitor. And we'll wait till we have an update. In the meantime, we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the first pitch of this ball game to Adam Eaton, and that's taken outside. Yeah, if you're scoring along with us, which a lot of you do, we know that. The top 5 in our order that Steve gave you remain intact. That ball hit high and deep. Kepler looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. Upper tank. 1-0 White Sox. Perfect.
And that one a no-doubter. That's one of the longer home runs you'll see here. We'll take a look at our Ford home run replay. And this is a fastball that drifts out over the plate. Ricky Nolasco has now thrown 18 home runs in 117 innings.
That ball, my buddy used to say, was kilt.
Boy, he got every bit of it.
Yes, he did. That's what you call every foot of it. Tim fouls that pitch away. And, of course, with that home run by Eaton, The Alex Nellius family. Alex with another generous donation to White Sox charities in loving memory of Ursula. Solves the play, and of course we have another gentleman who our condolences and best wishes go out to his family and friends, who was a big contributor and supporter of White Sox charities. James Schlatt of Homewood. All right, one out.
Last time out, Nolasco absolutely got shelled by Boston. He wound up getting a no decision, went only 2 innings, gave up 6 earned runs on 6 hits, 1 home run, and he walked 3.
Well, that Red Sox team can put some points on the board in a hurry.
They can that. That was the shortest outing of the year for Ricky Nolasco.
Nokia 302, 9 homers, 45 driven in. And get your picks to click. In fact, I'll tell you right now, the fans off to a quick start. The fans took Adam Eaton. That's into right field. Kepler hiding that sun a little bit. So with 2 out, let's check out our picks to click tonight. There they are. Jim Angio and the crew. They're going Navarro, as I mentioned. Fans went with Adam Eaton. Steve's going with Melky Cabrera. And all the good folks at Poogie Hyundai, Downers Grove and I. We're going to go with Tyler Saladino, David Novak. And we understand flu-like symptoms from Todd Frazier, who was scratched. Had to be a little heavier, I think, Steve, than symptoms for him to be scratched.
Now, I would think that normally, especially the way he's been swinging it, he would certainly like to play against a guy who's thrown a few home runs this year.
Well, yeah, to get Todd out of that lineup had to be a both-ender.
I wonder if flu-like symptoms is actually the flu. I would say probably yes. Otherwise, it's tough to get those symptoms.
Abreu, he's 5 for 14 lifetime. Sox come in hitting at .249 as a team with a 4.01 ERA. And that's out of play. A little soft chopper. Sano throws him out, but the very long home run by Adam Eaton after half inning of play. Our guys won, and their guys coming to bat.
Kia Twins lineup. This is how Paul Molitor is going to line them up. Brian Dozier leading it off. Robbie Grossman in 2 spot. Then it's Sano, Vargas, Kepler, along with Escobar, Rosario, Suzuki, and Byron Buxton. Hitting 9th, playing center field. Honda City defensive setup and how Robin is going to put them out there. Melky Cabrera, J.B. Shuck, and Adam Eaton in the outfield. Tyler Saladino, Tim Anderson, Carlos Sanchez, Jose Abreu in the infield with Yonder Navarro behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Jose Quintana. Looking for win number 9, ERA just below 3. So you can see very good walk to strikeout ratio. He's kept the ball in the ballpark, 13 home runs. Left-handers hitting just .212 against him. Not many in the lineup tonight.
Here is a very good fastball hitter leading off for Minnesota. Second baseman Brian Dozier. Comes in hitting at .251, 17 homers, and 52 knocked in.
Saladino is playing just on the third base side of second, so they do shift on Dozier, hoping that he will shoot the ball to the right side, take away some of that power.
That ball hit well. It's off the bottom of the fence. Dozier into second.
Well, just a couple of balls we've seen hit tonight. It is a very lively ballpark. Not quite 80 degrees here in the Twin Cities. A beautiful night as Dozier does take, this time, a backdoor slider. He reaches out and he hits a line drive rocket. Eaton playing to carry him nicely, but Dozier in at second base.
That's his 21st double. And here's Robbie Grossman hitting at .286 homers, 22 driven in. And he's got a job to do.
Grossman is a switch hitter, much better from the right side. Hitting .362 right-handed, .233 left-handed. His power probably a little bit better from the right side also.
That's not a good at bat for him. It's bobbled by Saladino, so it'll be an error.
Gets a range to his left. And for Grossman, not doing the right thing turns into gold.
Well, it's just a terrible at bat. It's just that simple. You got a club that's in last place. You got a club that's starting to play good. Have played well this month of July. You're down 1-0. You got a man on second, nobody out. You don't even try to go to right field. Now, if he's a 30-40 home run hitter, which he's not, that's one thing. This man here could be a 30-40 home run hitter.
Well, they want to open the third base position for Sano. And that would mean that one way or the other, they've got to find something to do with Trevor Plouffe, who has been injured.
Yeah, he's got a cracked rib.
And although there have been some trades made for guys on the DL, and we'll probably see another one or two as we get closer, you don't see it a whole lot.
You know, when I say that, it's really not all that fair to Grossman. Maybe Paul Molitor has told him, talked to him. Paul was one of the greatest fastball hitters in the history of the game. About hitting in that situation, situational hitting. And maybe he told him, hey, look, don't worry about it. Just go up there and try to get you a good pitch and hit hard, which some managers will tell young hitters that.
The only thing is, Paul was so well schooled in situational hitting that it's hard to believe that he would overlook
I agree.
that.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
to give him an out. But if that had been Tom Kelly and Grossman had done that, when he got back to that dugout, Kelly says, "You do that one more time, and your behind's going to be in AAA."
Gardner, the same type of manager, cut out of the same cloth and came up with the same system as Paul Molitor, a Hall of Famer, a great one. And he realizes this for him, just his second year of managing, this one is a tough one. Last year they did pretty well.
They did very well. They did much better than anybody expected. Is he gone? Good breaking ball down in there. One out.
He set him up and then put him away out of the strike zone. That slider down. Sano cannot check his swing. Nice play by Deano Navarro as he makes sure that one does not get away.
Kenneth Vargas, another switch hitter. They got three of them: Grossman, Vargas, and Escobar.
We've seen Vargas hit some very long home runs. Very strong, usually the DH type. He's only had 11 right-handed at bats.
Now field slightly to the right, gap out there in left center. Or just not a cloud in the sky.
Now this is, for this time of year, about as good as it gets. In the mid 70s. Just a gorgeous day.
Jim Angio, our Hall of Fame director, tells us it is 76 degrees as we speak. There's the strike. And another one. Vargas is a big man. 6'5", 290 pounds.
If you can get him to hit one on the ground, it'll be an easy two.
He gone. Good comeback for Jose. Two down.
Threw a cutter in on his hands, and Vargas doesn't check it up. Even if he did, Gary Cederstrom said it hit the corner. And if Q gets that corner in that spot, he's going to be doubly tough to hit.
Well, here's been the hot bat in July for him. Max Kepler, just 23 years old. Takes first pitch strike. Kepler. 8 home runs in July. It's a good month. 243. 11 homers, 38 on the season. And yanks that one foul. Trying to check out that bat, see if he cracked it. He said it's okay. Beautiful, beautiful target feed. Judge just off the corner. Twins come in hitting at 252 as a team with a 4.91 ERA. 21-31 here at home, 17-32 on the road.
Max Kepler, the first German amateur to reach the major leagues, born originally in Berlin, Germany.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Strikes out the side. Lead off double goes to Naughton, and we lead it 1-0. Top of the second inning, and Dan Hayes is our CSN insider, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday shop, The Great Escape. And Danny, what you got for us, buddy?
Well, Justin Morneau, obviously, we're seeing him right here make his first at bat at Target Field. And talked to Robin Ventura a little bit about him today, and just how much they missed him the last 2 days with the National League rules and no DH.
Well, the Cubs didn't have a DH either.
Absolutely. And the one thing Robin said, though, is, as you say this ovation, but he said, look, this extends our lineup. We need the left-handed bat in the middle. And it really hurt them for a couple days there.
Yeah, well, obviously the Cubs lineup is more balanced than ours with the runs they put on the board. So they don't need the DH near as much as we do. But Morneau was a fixture here for a long time, and boy, what a job he did. That's high. Right side. Kepler reaches in and cannot make the play.
We talked to Morneau a little bit about coming back today, and he was very excited. Wasn't too concerned about the reaction he was going to get. He thought people have always treated him well here. He's still, his family, his wife's family is from here, so he visits often in the off season. And he said he was very excited to come back. He expects people are going to be a little taken aback by seeing him in a White Sox uniform after all those years and the rivalry.
Well, yeah, what uniform you come back in has something to do with it. There's no question about that. But on the other side, is that ball here well into right field? He looks stay in the air. It's high off the wall. And now he's going to have to pull it back up as Kepler gets it back in on a nice throw. Yeah, that kid can throw, but the leadoff single. But, you know, Morneau was in the quote-unquote good guy class. He kept his nose clean. He always has. A good family man, terrific player, so why wouldn't he get a great reception like he did?
Absolutely. And you know, again, getting back to that point about just how much it hurt the lineup without him in there. He, you know, Robin was pretty adamant. I mean, this is something that they've dealt with all year without having that left-handed stick when Adam LaRoche retired, and he thought, you know, the numbers have been better this year offensively from last year.
That's knocked down. Escobar now is going to pick it up and double him up. That's a tough. 1, 6, 3. And now there's some discussion to second base. Darrell Boston was pointing out there. You got Adrian Johnson out there as the umpire.
Yeah, he says, I don't think that he tagged second base, because there was no doubt he was out at first, but Morneau was standing at second base. And that one was right off the pitching hand of Ricky Nolasco. So they're going to check and see if he's okay. Well, it sure looked like.
In real time, it looked like he got the bag.
It looked like he slid right into the bag as he was making the throw. Watch it again. Morneau's nowhere even close to the bag, and Escobar slides. Boy, his foot is cushioned right up against the bag. But if it stands, it's going to be pretty good, because Morneau would stay at second base.
Well, I just hope they don't review it, but they are.
Well, you see his heel leaning up against the bag, and so, you know, maybe it wasn't close enough.
Yeah, but Danny, that's one of the good things when you get in that good guy class. You get a lot of exemptions for the fans.
Obviously, they had a very successful run here for so long, and he was so key to it, along with Joe Mauer, and obviously a lot of good times in your favorite ballpark over at the Metrodome. And I mean, he was excited about coming back. Obviously, he's been gone 2 years now, having played Pittsburgh for a little bit, played at Colorado. He came back for the home run derby at the All-Star game and got a great reception then, but like we said, this is much different wearing the White Sox.
All right, let's get off Morneau for a second here. How did you enjoy the 4 games for the Cubs?
I mean, it's intense. It's always, people are paying attention. It's a lot of fun. And that series, you know, there's not much like it in baseball. Having covered the Padres for 6 years, the Seattle Mariners and Padres is not the same as the Cubs and the White Sox.
Not a good natural matchup. The rivalry isn't quite as intense.
I would have thought it would have been great. They share the same spring training facility. I would have thought whoever had the better building, it would have been great if they switched buildings every year based on the season series.
I know that I had a lot of guys, Minnesota people, who were following obviously that Sox-Cubs series, and how'd you like it? And I said it was exciting. I mean, you know, and I get a kick out of some of the players on both sides. We didn't see it as much this year as we've seen it in the past. Well, it's just another series. That's so much BS. It's unbelievable. Dan Gladden and I were talking.
I don't think anybody really believes that, but it's nice to say.
Yeah.
It's crazy how exhausting it is over 4 days too, just with extra stuff thrown in there.
Well, the first game set up the whole thing for me as far as the excitement and the adrenaline and everything else. You're leading 4-0. All of a sudden they tied up with 2 in the top of the 9th. And, I mean, I'm glad I didn't have that 100-mile drive.
Robin did mention that today, that it's good to get on from it. They really enjoy the 4 days, but at the same time, getting here and a little less intensity. And obviously, it's a beautiful day here. They were excited to kind of get away from the series and get, you know, back to a little bit more normal with the everyday season is like.
And just think about even with the, I mean, really terrible, because that's right, so that's scheduling a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. Give me a break. Dan Hayes, thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, thanks,
Dan Hayes from CSN Chicago. to avenge an earlier setback and build some much needed momentum as they host the New York Red Bulls. Coverage begins at 5:30 on CSN with the Spanish language broadcast available on CSN Plus. Eduardo Escobar will lead it off for him. One of our former players and one of our favorites as a person. Starts it off with a base hit.
Well, Escobar's pretty happy in what happened. Not that you want to lose a teammate, but with Nunez being traded, that opens up shortstop for Escobar. Escobar was the #1 shortstop when spring training started. And then he took it into the season. And then he got hurt. Nunez then took over. And in 3 games, Nunez had 9 hits. And he became the everyday guy, parlayed it into an all-star berth. And now he's moved along. And so Eduardo has retaken the shortstop position.
I was happy for him. And I was also happy to see Nunez get his behind out of here because he hurt us. Rosario, I'm talking about in 3 games had 9 hits. That's out #1. We had a player. In fact, I was talking about it at lunch today with some friends of mine. I still don't believe it happened, but it did happen. We had a player start off opening day 3 hits, second game of the season 3 hits, third game of the season 3 hits, fourth game of the season on the bench. 9 hits in the first 3 games.
Well, apparently they were looking for 10 or 11 hits.
I'm telling you, that is what you call a little over managing right there. Darren Jackson started off the season 3 hits the first game, second game, third game, fourth game didn't play. Suzuki carried at .292, 6 homers, 35 driven in. Last year only hit 5 home runs and drove in 50, hitting 40. So his offense has escalated. Yes, he did.
Well, Suzuki, regardless of what he's been hitting, and now he's hitting awfully good. But he's always saved his best for the Sox, and normally it goes to right or right center field. First couple of pitches, however, Jose staying low and in with him.
Good try. One thing about Quintana, he is not afraid to pitch inside to right-handers.
No one doesn't get disturbed if there's misplays made behind him or if he's in a jam. He just very calmly, orderly pitches his way out of it.
And he's done that since he was a rookie.
Yep.
That was one of the first things that you noticed about him after you saw him out on that bump for a little while. He was not afraid to pitch out of jams.
The first game we saw him against the Yankees in New York, he looked like he had the composure of a 10-year veteran.
And that is Mezzanine, Lowe. Escobar 1 for 3 in stolen bases. Watch out. Gene Glenn coached down at third. Butch Davis, the first base coach. Neil Allen is their pitching coach. Tom Bunansky, hitting coach. Joe Vavra, who was their hitting coach, is now the bench coach. Bullpen coaches. A guy I used to love to watch pitch against other teams, not against us. Eddie Guardado.
Everyday Eddie?
Everyday Eddie. Boy, he was a good one for a long time. Good lead. Almost jumped too quick.
Sometimes it's pretty difficult to read just exactly how the ball is hit, and that ball was hit off the end of the bat. So your first tendency when you see a line drive is to go up, you want to get it, but that time looked like Tim was catching it on the way down. But he got the job done.
Yeah. So here's Byron Buxton. Just 22 years old, hitting at 202, a homer he's driven in 15. They've been trying to do everything they could to get this young man, who is very talented, going.
I think one of the big factors, Hawk, and you were developed as a young hitter, a different type of player. You were a power hitter. This guy's a speed guy. But it appears to me like because he was so talented, and because they thought that eventually he'd hit the ball out of the ballpark, they didn't teach him the small man's game. They didn't talk to him about getting on base, learning how to bunt, learning how to hit behind the runner, all the things that a guy destined for a leadoff hitter would learn. And he hasn't learned them yet. He doesn't bunt near enough.
I agree with you 100%. You know, it's that old saying that you and I grew up with, and it was in the game 100 years before we got there. Find out, by looking at a guy, what he can do.
Yeah.
You got to find out what he can't do, and then don't ask him to do it.
Well, he's astonishingly fast. There's no doubt about that.
Sometimes coaches get caught up in stature. I mean, physical stature of a player. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And you watch him in batting practice. He can hit the ball a very long way.
No doubt.
Again, you go back to Rod Carew. Rod Carew batting practice. I mean, he could hit as far as anybody. But he's not a home run hitter.
No, and this guy can steal bases, but he was doing it just on pure speed in the minor leagues. No technique. And that's one of the things that you learn against major league catchers and pitching combinations is you better have a technique, because if not, raw speed's not going to get it for you. Now, he stole as many as 32 bases in the minor leagues. That was at low A. He stole 23 and 20 bases, but in the major leagues, that lack of technique really hurts him.
Good pitch and did not get it. That was a strike. That was not called. Well, sometimes you got other issues that come into play. Sometimes guys just don't have baseball aptitude. They got a lot of talent. They don't know how to play the game. And we see that a lot.
Yeah.
Another issue, sometimes they just don't want to listen. They're not coachable because they got a lot of money to sign. High pop up. And when you get a guy like, it's like that, remember that story I was telling last night about one of our prized outfielders, a left-handed hitting outfielder from New Jersey, Kenny Williams, right in front of the whole minor league system.
Yeah, called him out.
Called him out and told him to get out. I'll tell you one thing, those coaches pitching batting practice, the rest of the spring training, they didn't have any trouble with those guys yelling at them. Yep. Throw a strike.
Well, Buxton, look, first round pick, second overall in 2012. He was, by acclamation, the #1 prospect in the minor leagues just about every year he was down there. But somewhere along the line, potential has to translate into performance. And that's what Twins are trying to do. They had Aaron Hicks, a similar player. Hicks was a #1 draft pick, center fielder, all kinds of skills, could do just about everything, and was a guy who could hit the ball a long way from both sides of the plate. But he never developed.
That's high in the right field. And that'll retire the side. It's 1-0 good guys.
a cold one. To look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
So here is Saladino. Takes it low and away. One nothing Sox. Cubs put it on Seattle today. Wow.
Well, they got him early too, and it was against Iwakuma, who's pretty good pitcher. But he didn't survive long.
That ball hit hard, but it's right at Kepler. So that's the hang Wolfram for Tyler. So here's Carlos. If you're just tuning in, Frazier was scratched just about game time with flu-like symptoms. You know, I was thinking about something you said earlier about Buxton. It's pretty easy to sign a good-looking, talented young player.
There's no doubt. I mean, tools jump right out at you.
A lot of times it's pretty hard to develop. That's popped up Sano.
That's the thing that's pretty interesting, because if you're not developing near the amount of talent you'd like, I guess the first thing you ask is, how's our scouting department? And then if you do say that you really like your scouts, and you can check that by taking a look at evaluations and everything else, then you have to say, okay, we like our scouts, but we're not developing talent. Then you have to look at the development folks, because somewhere along the line there's a disconnect.
Something is wrong in the translation.
Yeah, because if the scouting is good and the development is good, you're going to get a whole lot of players. If there's a breakdown in one way or the other, you're going to have some problems. And we've seen a lot of organizations be very productive for a good period of time, and then all of a sudden seemingly just dry up.
There's a little soft ground ball that Vargas will take it. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3, and we go to the bottom of the third. with White Sox checking, an official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. So go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Top of the order, Dozier, Grossman, Sano to face Quintana. Dozier, behind a shot off the right field wall.
Dozier really has gotten considerably better as the years have moved along. Not necessarily in batting average, because that stayed the same. He's in anywhere from the mid-230s to the mid-240s. But he's consistently got better hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, he's one of the better high fastball hitters in the league.
Yeah, starting in 2013, which was his first full year, he had 18, 22, and then 28 home runs. And this year, he's right on pace with getting into the high 20s.
High pop up right side. Where you?
Join us as the White Sox face the Oakland A's on Saturday, August 20th at 6:10. First 20,000 fans to enter U.S. Cellular Field will receive a pair of White Sox socks. For tickets, visit whitesox.com.
Here's Grossman, switch hitting DH. Well, no wonder the Cubs won big today. I don't know what David Ross is thinking about. He got 7 home runs now. What's he thinking about, retiring? He's just learning how to hit.
I was going to say, he's probably thinking, you know what? If I show them that I could hit home runs in my last year, then when I get my next job, I can bill myself as a power hitting catcher.
Oh boy, I'll tell you, I don't know him that well. I've met him a couple of times, but I feel like I do know him that well because of Pierzynski. AJ just absolutely adores him, and AJ doesn't adore many people.
Well, David's been around a long time. He knows his craft, and like so many before him, for whatever reason, catchers make great managers, and I have no reason to believe that somewhere along the line, maybe in the not too distant future, that he will be a manager.
That's what Pierzynski says. Yeah, that's in the short right. AJ said he's going to be a good one.
Well, look, we've seen it all around baseball. We've seen it for years where guys, and I'm looking at Mike Scioscia, Mike Matheny, AJ Hinch, Brad Ausmus. I mean, you just can go down the line. John Gibbons, a catcher from Toronto, is doing a great job with the Blue Jays, who, by the way, are going to be very active as we move closer to the trading deadline. But well, there's a lot of really good managers that were catchers. But you know, look, you got a Hall of Famer here in Paul Molitor as a manager. Why is it that almost without exception, the great players don't make the great managers? The good players or average players make the great managers?
You know, that's a question that's been out there for a long time. Some people thought Ted Williams, when he managed, was, I know I'm not going to mention his name because I don't like him. He was a great pitcher. He thought he was the worst manager ever played for. And other guys thought Ted was a great manager. So, you know, it's one of those things. But if you look at it, do the math, the catcher is the only guy who's in the ball game every pitch. And they usually have to have a demeanor. And that's what, go back to David Ross. He's got a tremendous demeanor. It's what, you know, as I said, I don't know him that well, but AJ's told me about it. And when you have that lends to players having to listen to you just a little better. Yes, a lot of them are not. Is he gone? Second time that Snow has struck out.
Join us as our Sox take on the Orioles on Saturday, August 6th at 6:10. First 20,000 fans will receive a White Sox retro batting practice pullover presented by Coca-Cola. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com.
Tim Anderson to lead it off for us here in the 4th inning. First pitch strike. And I want to send out a big White Sox hello and congratulations, big Sox fans, to Ray and Pat Murphy on their 50th wedding anniversary. And they're great friends with the family that I love, the Bertucci boys, as that's fouled away left side. So congratulations, Ray and Pat, on 50 years. Wow.
How about that?
Harris and I have
That's a long
7
run.
more to go.
Well, that's a long run too.
Yeah.
So you're going to be, you're married 43 years?
Yeah.
I'd
Good
have
arm.
to, I'd have to be married 25 times. "43 years."
He's telling the truth too.
That's a long run. That is a long run.
Oh,
She's put up with you for a long time.
Here's Cabrera going out to right field.
You know, we've had some people tweet in trying to answer the question that I asked you. The reason why great players don't make great managers is that it's too easy for the talented. They don't have to learn the game. That was Phil Duska. That's
part of it.
That's a good explanation for one of the reasons.
No question about it. That's part of it. You know, it's. And there are some guys out there who never had a jockstrap on. They were good managers. I'm talking about in the major league.
Yeah, well, I played for one that's in the Hall of Fame, Earl Weaver.
Sure.
That's the great quote from Jim Palmer. That line drive goes right at Dozier. Earl came out to talk to him, and Jim Palmer didn't even wait for him to say anything. He just said, "What are you doing out here? The only thing you know about pitching is you couldn't hit it." And that pretty much took whatever he was going to say, and he walked on back. But he didn't have to be a great player or a good player or a major league player to be a terrific manager.
You know, that's one of the things that's so difficult in baseball, and in a way it's even becoming more difficult because what we're seeing is Abreu can't get that breaking ball. Jose grounded out softly to third. But what we're seeing now is a change in the culture of the front office. And in some cases, most cases, I don't like it at all. And I've been in this game 56 years, over half a century. In some cases, it's worked out. Very few has worked out. But you're seeing more and more baseball people taken out of the front office, taken out of the scene, out of the decision making.
Well, you know how they're researching it here, and they're going after, and you know they made no doubt that they're going to make a change, although they will
Analytics
consider.
comes into play.
Well, no, they're getting a company that does headhunting for baseball executives, and most of the guys, guess what they are?
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen here. Now, we got Rob Antony, who is longtime assistant of Terry Ryan's and now the acting GM, and he's made one trade, and he'll be considered, as they say, but with this firm that they hired to go out and research and get some guys who understand the sabermetrics and analytics of the game, odds are overwhelming that's probably who's going to step in as the next GM.
Well, it's gotten to the point now, in reality, if you want to put it just in succinct terms, a lot of them are just playing fantasy baseball. We still lead at 1-0.
upcoming schedule. We've got 2 more scheduled here with the Twins, and then it's a day off in Detroit and the Tigers. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. Then it's home to face those feared Baltimore Orioles. A PNC Bank upcoming schedule.
Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0. If you're just tuning in, that 1 run came in the 1st inning. An upper deck home run in right center field by Adam Eaton. That is a jaunt. You don't see many hit up there. And way back up there.
We've seen this guy do it from the left side, Kenneth Vargas, but not too many yet.
Get fouled.
Someone just roped down the line, but out of play. We'd like to welcome all of our viewers watching on Charter Communications.
You know, getting back to the GMs, unless they want to go with Rob Anthony, who worked under Terry Ryan, and who I guarantee you, working under Terry, you learn something, and you become a baseball man. But if they want to go anyplace else, I call it STP. That's what Reinsdorf has built with the White Sox. Stability, tradition, and pride. And when they bought the Sox, it was one of the most decadent organizations in all of baseball. Nothing in the farm system. That was decaying. And all of a sudden, they turned it around. And in '83, of course, won the division. But baseball, to me, is built on 3 big issues. First of all, great players. That's number 1. Next, it's built on tradition, generation to generation to generation. And the third thing is built on rivalries. And as I touched on it before, I touched on it in the series, and touched on it when you take a great rivalry like the White Sox and the Cubs, and you play that in July on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night, that is going against the grain and everything that baseball was built on, rather than how we had it last year. 1 weekend at our place, a month later, a weekend at their place. Because there is ball 4. But it's just like, to me, if they're going to let Rob Anthony go here, the first guy I think about bringing in would be Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter was a great player. One of the few players that ever finished 200 games over 500 in his career. He was a winner everywhere he went. He was Mr. Twin here for so many years, and he knows the game of baseball.
Well, there certainly is that, and what I'd like to see, and I think it would be an interesting trend, would be actually hiring some guys with some experience in the various areas and where you're hiring them. That seems to me a practical application of experience. You also talked about rivalries. Look how intense this rivalry used to be with the Sox in Minnesota.
Sure.
That comes with winning.
Sure.
You get a couple of really good teams, and especially when you're playing the unbalanced schedule, which we're doing now 18 or 19 times, you're playing the teams in your division. If you're really good and they're really good and you're playing them that many times, you're going to have a terrific rivalry.
That's why you can develop rivalries.
Yeah,
and once you develop it, baseball schedules have got to protect it.
Yeah. And I think that it can be had. It can be had as the teams get better. I mean, Minnesota was very good for a long time. They won it all in '87. They won it all in '91. They developed some very good players, and they had a tradition of developing their own for a long time.
Look at that. Knocks it down. That'll be 1-6-3 double play.
You know, you're going to go a long time without seeing many line drive 1-6-3 double plays. We've already seen 2 in this game. We saw one off the pitching hand of Nolasco go 1-6-3. Now we see one off the glove of Quintana go 1-6-3. Now this was a little less painful because it was the glove instead of the pitching hand, but apparently everybody is okay.
I miss Torrey Hunter. I missed his playing. I hated him I used to dislike him so much it was unbelievable.
Well, he's going to be back. I mean, he meant too much to the game, and I think he loves the game too much to stay away too long.
Well, that was in reality that was the biggest compliment I could have paid him. Is disliking him that much because why do I? Because he beat us. That's why.
Also played a pretty tough game. I mean, if he had a chance and he had to score a run, he would probably run over you to get there.
He did it.
I know.
And I'm ready to go downstairs and finish it off for our catcher. Broken bat. So Escobar, who had singled sharply in the left field, is retired, and we will go to the 5th.
The game. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's our Miller moment, and it's after a standing ovation. Justin Morneau comes up and gets a sinker and takes it high off the wall, just missing a home run. Unfortunately, it is just a single, but a hard hit baseball, and the fans had a chance to just show Justin Morneau what he meant to them all of those years here in a Twins uniform.
That's into center field. He slips down, now tries to get there, and he does. Well, that standing O can vanish in a hurry.
Yeah, but he hits a home run that beats him.
When I got traded from Boston to Cleveland, the fans did not like that. So now we come back later on to play the Red Sox. And first time I came to play, got like a 3 or 4 minute standing ovation. Okay. And I struck out. And they gave me a standing ovation when I was going back to the dugout. Okay. About the 5th inning, 6th inning, 2 men on, I hit a 3-run homer off Jen Lombard.
No standing ovation.
And when I came around third base, boo! You no good. You know what? Boo!
Yeah, that's
so it can disappear.
That's
in
the
a hurry.
Bostons. That's true.
The honor hit a bullet back up the middle. Slowed up a little bit by the pitching hand of Nolasco, right to Escobar, who turned it over for a double play.
Well, the Twins have Nolasco at the tail end of a long-term contract, and now with 2 strikes, they're going to completely change the defense. They're going to take Sano. They're going to move him over into the gap on the first base side of second. They're going to leave Escobar at shortstop, which is the way this switch should be used. Struck him out on a good straight change, and so Navarro is down. But I say it's the way it should be used is because I've seen a lot of teams, when they make that shift, they shift everybody over. They shift the shortstop on the first base side of second. They use the third baseman to cover well over 90 feet of space between the two bags, because you're talking about you've got to play deeper. Instead of leaving the shortstop in his natural position, he is at that position because he can cover more ground than anybody else. And Paul Molitor, knowing that, takes Sano and puts him over into the spot occupied by the second baseman normally.
Well, why take two guys out of position when you can only have to take one?
And your shortstop is there for simply one reason, because he probably has better range than anybody in that infield.
If you're just joining us, we have a run on 2 hits, 1 error. They have no runs, 2 hits, no errors. We have stranded none. They have stranded 3. Chuck bounced out softly to Vargas at first. And that's ball 4. First walk issued by Nolasco. Also in that Seattle Cub game, Lester the winner, 11-4. Iwakuma 11-7 takes a loss. Cano 2 for 4 in that game. What new? Leonis Martin 2 for 4. He looked good against us. Nelson Cruz 0 for 2, but he'll get it heated up. There's a strike. Saladino hit the ball right on the button, right on the money, right to Kepler in right field. Another thing that I missed about that series, though, was Brett Lawrie. Oh, we missed first of all, his play, and his intensity, and then his energy.
Well, he's on the trip, and you can certainly feel his energy, but he's on the disabled list.
Safe.
Well, Dozier made a real bad play, and that's supposed to be easily the 3rd out of the inning. JB took off. Velasco steps off the mound, and then Dozier just misses the ball. So JB hustling back, able to beat the throw at first base.
Well, he tried to get a Lance Johnson jump.
Goes as no play.
Another scoring judgment if it goes against the pitcher.
Yeah, that's usually E4 when you have a guy out by that much.
Make him pay, Tyler. Two and one.
One of the things the Twins were hoping for is a resurgence from Nolasco, who before the last time out was throwing it pretty well. But they signed him to a big contract, which includes in the neighborhood of $12 million for next year. So it's not going to be all that easy to move along. Ricky Nolasco originally came up with the Chicago Cub organization before moving on to then the Florida Marlins.
Boy, he got a cookie right there and couldn't pull the trigger. Whew.
Got what they call a rolling breaking ball. You see where Suzuki wants it, and this ball stayed over the inside part of the plate.
Marcy. All right, we're halfway home, but we lead at 1-0. Thank you, buddy. Eddie Rosario to lead it off for the Twinkies. Takes a strike, but he didn't get it. Ball one. Rosario, among other Twins, not having the kind of season that Paul Molitor had expected. Last year, Rosario, 267 in limited action, 13 homers, drove in 50 this year, hitting 254, 5 homers, and 19 RBI.
Well, last year there was a lot of teams very interested in trading for Rosario. His name came up a lot at the deadline. And I think they felt perhaps this year might be a little bit more of the same with some young outfielders coming up. They knew Max Kepler was coming up. But this year, completely different year. Not coming up quite as much as they would like.
Well, he's got some pop. We saw that.
Yeah.
Saw him go upper tank and right center. Paul Molitor. What a hitter. What a fastball. When we had the Paul Molitor Day last season, Minnesota was in town, and it was interesting to have three of the greatest fastball hitters in the history of the game, and actually 4 great hitters in like a 30 or 40 yard circle. You had Paulie, you had Jim Thome, you had Molitor, all 3 great fastball hitters, and you had Harold Baines, who was just a great hitter, period.
Harold Baines was the #1 pick in that draft by the White Sox, and Molitor went #2 to the Twins.
And the funny thing about it, Harold was the best breaking ball hitter of the 4.
Well, Paulie was a college player and Harold was a high school player. So a big difference in their development. They both turned out to be great players, but you know, when you draft a 17-year-old, it'll take him a lot longer to get to the major leagues than when you draft a guy from a pretty good college program, as Paul Molitor was.
Now, a lot of people forget too, White Sox fans, the younger ones especially, because they didn't see him, was that he was a heck of an outfielder. The only thing Harold couldn't do was run. He was not fast. He wasn't real slow like Paulie, but he could throw, accurate, and it was a good outfield and a great clutch hitter.
Here's a look at the Hall of Famer. Not only here, but in Milwaukee. Some player.
There you go. Well, you couldn't shoot a 30-30 by Molly.
Friday, August 5th is Ladies' Night. Come see the White Sox take on the Orioles at 7:10. Save for a post-game fireworks show presented by Athletico. First 1,000 fans to purchase a whitesox.com/ladies receive a free tote bag. Athletico, physical therapy, better for everybody.
I'm just thinking about an example for our fans out there. You take Paul Molitor and you take a Aroldis Chapman out there with that 102, 103 mile an hour high fastball. That was meat for Molitor. That was absolute meat for him. Suzuki did a little soft liner. Looper's a better description to Anderson. First of 3 here. Then we'll have an off day on Monday and finish what's going to be an 8-game road trip off with 3 against the Tigers. Jacks it up, fouls it off.
Paul Muller started his career with Milwaukee back in 1978. Then he seemed to learn a whole lot because he started hitting .300 the next year, 1979, and continued that for quite some time, finishing his career with Minnesota. Also spent some time in Toronto.
How many stolen bases do you have?
Let's see. He could only get to 504, so it's not like he stole a lot of bases to go with everything else that he had, which was he wasn't a big home run threat. He did hit 22 one year. That was in Toronto in '93. But what a player!
Yeah. Here you go, Suzuki, strikeout number 6.
But in talking with Paul about managing, because he started without any experience, and he said the only thing that was difficult for him, which is difficult for most guys who haven't managed before, is the interaction with the players and understanding what to do and how to get the most out of each and every guy. I mean, he was in many locker rooms with a whole lot of players, but it's different when you're not in charge of those players. When you're simply in charge of yourself and you're a great player, it's not that difficult. When you're in charge of 25 guys and you have to get the most out of most of those guys, knowing they don't have your talent or your ability or your understanding of the game, that's when things start to change for you. He said he's a much better manager this year, although you'd never know it by the results, and that's what happens with managers too.
That's what I try to explain to people when they ask me about Robin and managers and everything, is that Robin, Molitor, most of the managers put their names in a pot and pick one of those names out. They know as much baseball as anybody else in that pot. It's not knowing baseball. We got fans watching tonight this game right now that know how to run a baseball game as far as the dynamics of it go. What you have to know is who is down in that dugout each and every day. And that is the difference. That's why Joe Madden, to me, Joe never played in the big leagues. He didn't know any more baseball than Robin Ventura or Paul Molitor, but what he does, he has figured out a way to get what in his guys out of them. And he did it in Tampa Bay.
I would say he spent a long time honing his craft in the minor leagues and getting to understand players and situations.
Hey, he's lost it. He's lost it now. Adam picks it up. Carlos lost it. Makes the catch. And we're into the 6th. Still leading 1-0. Broadcast of White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago comes to you Tuesday night from Detroit as our Sox battle. Boy, Miguel Cabrera's Tigers. What a hit. It all starts at 6 on CSN.
Tigers are whomping the daylights out of Houston 13-3 tonight in Detroit. That team can hit.
Broken back, get over his head. Nope. So Sanchez is retired.
Join the White Sox in honoring Chicago area police and fire departments on Thursday, August 25th for Police and Fire Night. First 10,000 fans receive a special Police and Fire Night commemorative T-shirt presented by UL. For more than a century, UL has been committed to fire safety. Learn more at ul.com/fire. To purchase tickets today, visit whitesox.com/PDFD or call 866-SOX-GAME.
First pitch strike to Adam Eaton, 1 for 2.
Leading off the ball game, the first run of the game, and with that first White Sox run, eClick Lending will donate $100 to the Pat Tillman Foundation, supporting military veterans and their families.
That was a long. Whoops.
Suzuki wants it inside, and this one catches him right on the top of the right foot.
Wow, that had to hurt.
Below the ankle, but normally when a base stealer has that happen to him, first thing he thinks about is stealing second.
So here's Tim, strikeout and a ground out to third. Now field straight up, spread out. Bit of a gap out there in right center. Backhanded. Can't get him at first. Well, it had to hurt Adam, or else what you had just said was going to happen.
Yeah,
It was. If Adam had been hurt, he would have tried to steal.
I'm sure he's feeling the effects of that one, and he'll be feeling that for a bit.
And again, in case you just tuning in and wondering where Todd Frazier is, he was scratched at the last minute. Flu-like symptoms. So here's Cabrera. 0 for 2, going out to right and lined hard to Dozier. Takes up high.
Lesko has a good but not a great move to first base. See if Robin is going to try to run with Anderson, who does have pretty good speed.
All right. Picked off, caught stealing, and we'll go to the bottom of the 6th.
high-speed action replays, and we talked about the fact that it's rare to get one, but getting two in one game is exceptionally rare. This is a 1-6-3 off the pitching hand of Velasco, and then it's easy. This one off the glove of Jose Quintana, a 1-6-3. You'd prefer the one off the glove as opposed to the one off the pitching hand if you had your choice.
Let's add on, please. Cabrera, Abreu, Morneau. In our next inning for us, here for them in the bottom of the sixth, Dozier, Grossman, and Sano. 1-0. Good guys. Dozier has doubled off the right field wall, and he has fouled out to first.
Great job of pitching in that first inning. With Dozier on second, Grossman came up, a ball that was not played by Saladino, putting 2 on, nobody out, and then the strikeouts of Sano, Vargas, and Kepler got Jose out of the inning. One of the things that all managers will find very tough, whether you are a veteran manager or a manager who's just starting his career with or without experience, is you lose your closer very early in the year and you're going to have some problems. And Glenn Perkins was lost by this ball club.
Gotta hurry. Can't get the ears. That'll be a base hit. Well, he may have had a shot at him, but the guy to make the play right there was Anderson, because it's going to be hard for Saladino going that hard to his left to get it, get set, and make any kind of a decent throw.
He comes up and then cannot corral the baseball. So now you got a good base runner and an occasional base stealer on.
7 for 7. Grossman has reached on an error, and he has popped up to right field. Takes the bunt, fouls it back. Oh, no. Just tuning in, that run for us in the first inning. First hitter, Anami. Home run. And count 0-2. First of 3. Tomorrow, Miguel Gonzalez against Tommy Malone, soft tossing left-hander. You know what soft tossing left-handers do to us? We have trouble. And on Sunday, to be announced for us against Irvin Santana for them.
If Irvin Santana is still here.
Yeah. Well,
and there's a school of thought saying that he might be down the road a touch by the time that comes along.
He gone. 1 out. Well, to tell you the truth, I hope he's gone.
Well, look, despite 3
Santana's pretty good pitcher.
I would say despite 3 and 9, he's got an ERA of 3.78 in 19 starts. So when you look at the other numbers, the fact that he hardly walks anybody, he's got 29 of those with 80 strikeouts. I mean, this is a guy that can pitch. I think he can certainly help a contending team.
No question.
And I don't think he'll cost you near as much as some of the other folks around that everybody is talking about.
If you got Irvin Santana as your 4th or 5th, you're in good shape. Well, that ball's scalded by Sano. Get the throw to second base, and he's in there. So a hustle double by Sano. We're in trouble.
Miguel Sano can just flat out hit the ball. And knowing that Chuck is going away from the play, even with the 360 spin and a throw that's right on the money, Sano, for a big man, getting there in a hurry. Just in ahead of the tag, and it's a very good thing for Carlos Sanchez that he didn't have a hyperextended left elbow, because he reached in and got hit by a very big man on that slide.
So here's Vargas, a strikeout and a walk. One, 2, and 1 for us. 0-4 and 0 for them. Time is called by Deanna.
Well, the infield is back. They're going to concede the run in an effort to try to stay out of the big inning. And now Navarro goes out there to have a word.
Little tardy right there. You're talking about a Kansas City special. You just saw it. Meanwhile, the game is tied at 1. Wow.
Well, it wasn't particularly good base running on the part of Sano, and that's the reason why it still is a tie, because if you know where the infielders are and you know where the outfielders are, you got to take off a second base, because nobody's got a chance to catch this ball. And Sano got a late start, and Gene Glynn, for whatever reason, does not put on the stop sign. He might have been reading the assist list in all of baseball, but Adam Eaton has just gunned down his 15th. That's 15 assists, and that ball is waiting for a week for Sano to arrive.
Wow. Kepler. Boy, he makes a great pitch, shatters the bat.
That's Jose.
Yeah, it is
Typical game. He's got one run that lead off the ball game, and
that's Jose is right.
That's it.
That says it all right there. That's Jose. He's won it since he's had a Sox uniform. Been the man for all the bad luck. 1-1 to count. One and 2 to count. Kepler is 0 for 2, a strikeout. Then he hit a rocket back through the middle. Quintana got a glove on, slowed it up, ball right to Tim Anderson, who turned it over for the double play. That's off his knee. It's going to be a base hit.
And Jose is frustrated with himself. That's a ball absolutely you've got to catch, especially when it's to your glove side. Normally he's a pretty good fielder. This time he just misses it. It is a base hit, but a one hopper. And I think Jose realizes by tossing the ball up on his hat that he should have made that play. So Don Cooper coming out after 4 hits in the inning, but only 1 run. Well, the question would be when that stop sign is applied. And Sano, one way or the other, didn't see it. And he's cut down easily.
So 1 in, 2 out, 2 on. Four hits this inning, only 1 ball hit hard. Dozier, that little chopper left side. Tyler couldn't get the ears on. Then a rocket by Sano. Then a broken bat flare by Vargas. Get foul. Get foul. It will. It will.
There's a break. That would have scored 2. Unfortunately, on the left side of the line. Take a look again, slow it down, and that one not fouled by much, but Chad Whitson on the call. And he got it right. That was really close to 2 runs.
That's why they call it a game of inches.
Boy, that was a game of an inch right there. So Eduardo trying to make the most of his opportunity to recapture the everyday role of shortstop.
So that wild pitch.
He wanted a high fastball. Looked to me like that was a cross-up. Had to be, because number one, you don't want to go after that ball in the dirt like that. And also, Deanna would never have a high target for a breaking ball. So he was crossed up, and fortunate to be able to keep it in front of him as Matt Albers loosens up. And also fortunate that ball didn't kick away far enough for the man to score from second.
Seven's wild pitch for Arcantana. And he gets him, so just by an inch. And we're still tied at 1.
Celebrate the only professional two-sport all-star for a donation of just $35. That's a limited amount available, so you got to get yours today. Proceeds benefit Chicago White Sox charities. Visit whitesox.com/Bo Bobble to purchase yours today.
Seventh inning. 1-2-1 for us. 1-6-0 for them. Each team has had, well, they're meetings. They have had 3 balls hard. We've hit 2 balls hard.
Yeah, pitchers have dominated tonight.
I'll tell you what, from a pitching standpoint, last night, Lackey was dominating. He dominated our guys.
Yeah, yes, he did. He was good. Strop was good, of course. Rodon had a few problems, and Chapman doesn't have many, and he didn't have any.
Yeah, I was not expecting that kind of performance. I'm talking about stuff-wise from Lackey. He had good stuff.
Yes, he did. I think he was as keyed up as he's been in some time for that game.
That's outside. And Chris didn't have as good stuff, but he battled him.
No, I thought getting 6 innings out of him against that ball club in that park last night for Chris Sale was a fine performance.
That's into left field, and that's going to be a fair ball. So Melky will start it off with a double. That is his 23rd. Well, Chris Sale is a unique guy, and I say that very complimentary as you take another look at this nice piece of hitting by Cabrera, just going right with him. Chris Sale's got the TWTW, the will to win. That's all he wants to do. And he went out there after all that stuff was going on without his good stuff against, if you go by the record, it's the best team in baseball.
Yeah, I was saying, arguably the best team with one of the best offenses around.
Sure. And absolutely could have won that ball game except for the efforts of John Lackey. Chris went 6 innings in case you missed it. Gave up 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 4 strikeouts, and did not have his good stuff. He's a winner. He got a good pitch to hit, couldn't do anything with it.
Well, he got what looked to be a cutter that he tried to throw away, but got it inside. Well, actually, Suzuki wants it in, and he gets it there. Unfortunately, fouling it back.
Chops that one over into our dugout.
That becomes an interesting confrontation because Nolasco's a veteran pitcher. He realizes that the last thing that he needs is to have Cabrera as the go-ahead run wind up at third base. He's going to try to force Abreu to pull the ball in this situation and hope to ground it to the left side. Stays out of the zone, gets no contact, and gets no movement out of Cabrera.
We have done that too many times lately in close ball games. Too many times. Man on second, nobody out. And most of the time, just leave him right there at second base. Don't even get him to third. Here's Morneau. A bullet high off the wall in right field for a single. And we might see a little bit of a, even though it's tie ball game, close ball game, might see a bit of a pitch around here.
I don't think he's going to give him anything to pull. Well, you would think not anyway.
Well, he's going to try to let him get himself out. Suzuki setting up way outside. Two and 0 the count. And he, Nolasco catches a break. There's ball 3, and it was called a strike. Jeez. Oh man. That's even.
Time now for the T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball, and it's Justin Morneau in a Twin uniform. 278, 221 home runs, 860 is the runs batted in. The games 1,278, and the MVP in the American League in 2006.
Full count.
Taylor Rogers loosening into pen. He was a man who was a starter. They have now made him a reliever, so he's scrapped a straight change as a reliever, and the question will be down the road where they want him to occupy a spot, because he's got a very good arm.
There was a pitch outside the zone. That was a good job right there by Nolasco against Morneau, even though you got a huge break from Cedarstrom.
Well, he didn't use any part of the plate that time going away. Hitting it at Sano, who was well wide of the bag.
That 2-0 pitch was huge.
Yeah.
So here's DeHonor. DeHonor 0 for 2. And you got Shuck on deck. DeHonor 8 for 21 lifetime. Now make it 8 for 23 lifetime against Nolasco. It was a get me over breaking ball, and he got away with it. When you were pitching, you didn't have to have anybody say, hey, Steve, this guy's 8 for 21 against you, did you?
No.
You knew it.
Well, also when you have first base open, that would be a guy that you will invite him to get himself out. You're just not going to throw him a strike.
Right. And they didn't have all the stats, so to speak, back in those days. As that ball hit into right center field, it's a can of corn. 7th inning stretch, tied at 1.
Restaurants, fine dining and service while enjoying a breathtaking view of U.S. Cellular Field from the First Merit Stadium Bank Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders. The First Merit Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events, including weddings and corporate parties. For more information, call 312-674-1000.
Here's Rosario. Takes it up, fouls it off. In this 1-1 tie, bottom of the 7th inning, 1-3-1 for our guys, 1-6-0 for their guys. Watch out.
That one buzzed up and in. Rosario able to get out of the way of it. If he was looking outside.
He made the right move to get out of the way of it. He makes the other move, he gets drilled.
Pitch number 104 on the way for Jose.
Two and one to count.
He swung another one out of the zone. I'm not sure where he was going with that one, but fortunately decided to swing at that to even the count.
Watch this. Payout. No. He gone.
Well, if you're seeing three right under his chin, that fourth one on the outside corner looks a whole lot farther away.
Eight strikeouts for Quintana.
Just another routine night at the office.
No runs for him.
And pitching out of some tough jams. 4 hits. Only 1 run last inning. 2 on, nobody out in the first inning. And here he is in a 1-1 tie.
I love guys like that. They don't have their good stuff or their good control. They go out there like Chris last night. He didn't have his good stuff. He goes out there. You look at get into the 7th inning. It's 2-2 tie.
And you look at those numbers. Unbelievably good. Nine strikeouts. Don Cooper probably just shaking his head over how in the world over the extended time that this guy has gone to the mound can you be as unlucky as he has been consistently.
The honor. 2 down. Well, you know what hurts too so much is the fact of what kind of person Quintana is.
Yeah, one of the best.
If he was a bad guy, so to speak, or his bad luck, you say, okay, he's really had bad luck. But when you are a wonderful guy like he is and a great teammate, like a Burley, and you have that kind of luck, boy, it just hurts double.
See if Buxton's thinking about a bunt here with his speed. Nope, he's not. He's got 1 home run this year. Not saying he's not going to hit another one, but they certainly could use him on in a tie game late. He's the fastest guy in the ball club by plenty.
I think the last thing in the world Molitor wants to see is Buxton hit a home run.
Not with his skill set at this point of his career.
Exactly right. Later on, fine. Two balls and a strike. That's fair ball.
Winds up taking it right down the line. His 13th double of the year. This time he got a fastball inside. Drops the head on it and keeps it fair.
Boy, he's got that classic running style too. He is fun to watch run.
Now when he gets it going, and he's going to learn how to steal a whole lot of bases because he is inordinately fast. But right now he's got to get it going. When he does, well, from first to third, second to home, first to home, there's not many people this quick around, and that's going to be it for Jose. He's going to leave. He's at the 113 pitch mark. There won't be another one, so we'll step out and be back after these messages. Quintana, who departs this ball game with the go-ahead run at second base. All things considered, quite a night. 9 strikeouts. He had it on the curveball. He got it called on fastballs. He threw high fastballs by a few of these Twins and went back to the breaking ball. But unfortunately, he can't win this. And our Midas call to the pen is Matt Alberts. He's going to face one of the most dangerous hitters in Brian Dozier. So on for the 45th time, he's 2-4. His ERA a touch over 5. So you got your choice here. You got first base open. You got to be careful with Dozier. You've got Grossman. Even though he's a switch hitter, you've got him in the on-deck circle.
I'm not going to let Dozier beat me here, I'll tell you that.
Grossman's a .233 left-hand hitter and a .362 right-hand hitter, and he'd face him left-handed, so let's see how it works out.
2 best hitters in this lineup for the Twins tonight. You got Dozier and Kepler. Those are the 2 best hitters in this lineup. He's going to get him, though. And that'll retire the side. So we're into the 8th, still tied at 1. Wade as the Bulls introduce their newest start of the media, plus the latest from Bears training camp, Kyle Long status, and more on Sportsnet Central tonight after White Sox postgame live on CSN Chicago. Chuck to lead it off. Saladino on deck. Sanchez in the hole. 1-1 tie. We got our run in the first inning. If you're just tuning in, a long home run by Adam Eaton. That's just about, I would say, maxed out for Adam. As far as he can hit a baseball, he hit it.
That's as far as a lot of people can hit a baseball. Up in the upper deck here.
Way up in the upper deck.
Yep.
One out.
Join the WhiteSox.com blacklist and enter the Sox 16 sweepstakes. You can win one of 16 weekly prizes or monthly prize packs, as well as an amazing grand prize finale at the end of the season. Visit WhiteSox.com/Sox16 for complete details.
Since that home run, Nolasco has allowed just 2 hits.
And both bullpens now up and going. It's about as good as Ricky Nolasco has pitched in quite some time. And
well, he's had some help tonight, as we both know. He's made some mistakes and got away with them. Breaking balls.
But from Minnesota's standpoint, they want all the scouts to realize that he is entirely healthy. And you got a guy with good control. Nolasco has always had that. There's another guy whose name has been mentioned prominently in trades, Fernando Abad.
He got a good pitch to hit right there. Couldn't do anything with it.
There's a guy whose name hasn't been mentioned, Nate Jones. Well, you never really know one way or the other how things are going to play out before the trading deadline at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Monday.
Made a good pitch on him right there. Had to pull his arms way in. So, full count.
That was one of the better breaking balls Nolasco has thrown because it wasn't a big breaker. It was a tight spin slider. And a hitter, to his eye, it identifies a fastball. At the last instant, just drops out of sight. So Saladino down on strikes on a pitch way out of the zone, and Nolasco continues to roll along. Pitch number 96 forthcoming. And he's into the 8th inning. He has not completed a game this year.
Well, fair scouts that were thinking about it, and the only thing that can come away with this is positive.
There's no doubt. I mean, he's averaged less than 6 innings per start. Here he is in a 1-1 game, giving up a leadoff home run, and that's been it. So he's going much deeper than he normally goes.
Well, Jimmy Olsen, our correspondent out in Seattle,
the intrepid Jimmy Olsen,
he just texted me that Adam Eaton was measured at 440 feet. That's the longest of his career.
That was a blast.
It was. I mean, I was shocked. Curveball strike.
I tell you what, for Jimmy to get out here that quickly and measure it himself is really some kind of accomplishment.
Oh, he can do that. He can do that. He's all over the place. The only thing wrong with him is he's just the biggest front runner and second guesser I've ever met.
Well, there is no doubt about that.
That's not a strike. That's not even close, Gary. Come on, you're better than that, buddy. Jeez. All right, Chuck, thank you. It's the bottom of the 8th inning. Game tied at 1. Grossman, Sano, Vargas. Matt Albers in relief of Jose Quintana. Quintana comes in tonight with an 8.8, 2.97 ERA, and that ERA is going to go down. And he's going to get another no decision.
Yeah, pretty amazing when you consider his body of work over the last 4 years and you look at all of those no Ds.
.89 is going down to.
This becomes a very big out because you got a couple of guys up behind him that can hit it a long way. And where I don't think that Albert is going to be around to face Kepler, he will have to face Sano certainly, and then we'll see with Vargas. There's a man ecstatic with a souvenir, able to hold on to his beverage and apparently catch it with a cap.
That ball hit hard into right center field. So he will pull into second with the double. That's his 13th two-back.
Grossman crushed that ball. Fortunately, it's 4:03 to that part of the ballpark, and you've got a high scoreboard to go with it. Because otherwise, this is a 2-1 game. Oh, he hits the daylights out of that one. That one is out just about any other park in baseball but this one.
So here's Sano, 2 strikeouts and a hustle double, a bullet. Back up the middle. Just a little bit into left center. Gets in high. Runners tagging. Allen getting the shape. And here's the throw. He gone. Keep on running, boys.
Well, they're going to want to take a look at that, but the throw beat him. The question is, did the legs get in under the tag? Adam Eaton sets up for this towering fly ball. And we'll watch it again. Catches it on the left side of his body, which is perfect. Doesn't bother skipping it all the way on a fly. The ball beats him. Now the question is, does the tag come ahead of the foot?
He got him.
Saladino holds on to it, gets upended by Grossman. Well, that's quite a throw. Looks to be out from that angle. We'll see what they say. And we'll see if Paul Molitor wants him to take a look at it.
No, he's gone.
Tag right there on the butt before the foot got there. Two guys gunned down tonight by Adam Eaton. He's got, well, probably has a Gold Glove this year.
Well, who's been better?
I don't think anybody's been close.
And the thing about it was, the irony of that thing, he got set up, but he could have even had one step better in getting set up. He took that little crow step, which he didn't have to take. Just shows you how strong that arm is. So
Well,
here's Vargas.
Huge play. Depending on the outcome, certainly could be the game saver.
First pitch strike to Kennis. He struck out, walked, and had a broken bat Kansas City special. Little duck snort single to knock in their one run. The 0-2.
Good spot for it, right in on his hands. Maybe a piece, but certainly too close to take. And there was absolutely nothing he could do with it.
That's low 1-2.
Adam Eaton now has 16 outfield assists, leading all of baseball fairly comfortably.
That's popped up. Anderson's back. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the ninth. Tied at 1.
With MLB.com at Bat app, you can stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. We got a brand new pitcher coming in the ball game, and he has got very good stuff. He's a man anointed as their closer. It's Brandon Kinsler on for the 33rd time, 8 for 8 in save situations, ERA 1.99. Not exactly an overwhelming closer, but he's got very good control. Left-handers have done nothing with him, which would tell you that he's got pretty good off-speed stuff.
Most of the time, that will be the change.
Yep.
If left-handers are doing nothing with him. So here we go. Top of the order. Top of the ninth. Eaton, Anderson, Cabrera.
Last 30 appearances, a 1.55 ERA. And that'll get it done.
Yeah, he's not a big guy.
Nope.
You don't have to be in baseball. This game may come in all sizes and shapes. Adam 1 for 2 with that 440-foot home run. Didn't hit that one real hard. 1 out.
You got a pretty good idea watching the arm of Sano why they want him to play third base. They look to him to be their third baseman of the future. And another thing to bear in mind, he's got a ridiculously strong arm now, but it was surgically repaired with Tommy John surgery, which you very rarely see for third baseman. So this is a big, strong guy that they view as their third baseman of the future, and then we'll see what they do with Trevor Plouffe.
Well, fortunately, that Tommy John surgery sometimes when you come back is better.
Well, yeah, especially nowadays, and especially if you're not a pitcher. I mean, you're a third baseman, you're going to have every bit as strong an arm.
Well, they've got that procedure down like rotisserie chicken.
Well, they do a lot of them.
I tell you,
They do a
it's
lot.
amazing
Yeah.
how good they are. That ball hit hard right at him. Dead.
Only hope he had there was if Kepler had lost it in the lights, but he was starting to kneel down to get under the lights to get a look at it.
$23,983, just shy of their average of $24,663. Melky 1 for 3, a double. That was leading off the 7th inning. And what new? We left him right there at second base.
Well, he took the occasional leadoff.
Yeah, he did get close to third.
just didn't move. Just didn't move on.
Too many times in close ball games.
Kinsler was signed as a minor league free agent. He's been around for quite some time. Originally with the Padres way back in 2004.
There's a base hit. Nice piece of woodwork by Melky.
Big aggressive turn, and Rosario, who's got a strong arm, wants to chase Melky back. So he shoots it through the left side and then try to test and see if maybe he can make it there.
That's only our 4th hit. And here is Abreu. He has grounded softly to third, grounded softly to short, and struck out. Jose going through a bad case of pulling off the pitch. There's a base hit. Didn't pull off that one, so Melky will make the turn. Here's the throw by Kepler. Got it. So we've seen some terrific throws from right field tonight. Unfortunately, that one was against us.
And he shows you just how good that arm is. Melky, I think, trying to jump out of the way cost him a couple of steps and cost him the out at third as Kepler straight over the top. A one-hop strike of a throw, cutting down Melky at third base.
The jump got him.
Yeah, that's out of the inning, and once you do that, usually you want to stay at second, but he took off, got thrown out, and Zach Duke comes on. There is a look at Zach on for the 53rd time. 2-0, 2.70 ERA. Comes into a tie ball game with Kepler, Escobar, Rosario, Duke.
This young man looks like he is well schooled. Or sometimes, you know, guys don't have to be taught. It's just they have it. IT. Most guys don't have it. They have to be taught.
He was signed as a non-drafted free agent back in 2009.
From where?
From Berlin, Germany.
Well, I can understand that. I'm getting ready to say, you know,
scouts make a mistake occasionally,
yeah,
but not that big a mistake.
No. So 1 out. Here's Escobar. He's 1 for 3. Solid single leading off the second. He also has grounded to third. Struck out. Ball hit sharply. 2 down. So here's Eddie Rosario 0 for 3, fly out to left, and a couple of strikeouts. Cleveland beat Oakland 5-3 at Progressive Field.
They came back in that game to win it.
Well, they get the TWTW going for them.
What they need is the hitterish W. They need one more hitter. And I think they're going to probably make that deal. Because the pitching is there. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they can pitch it with the best of them. Another big hack.
Another team really needs a hitter, because if they don't get one, they're going to fall off the cliff, and that's the New York Mets, because they're getting shut down offensively just about every day.
Well, the loss of a great player, David Wright, has really put them in dire straits.
That Matt Harvey, losing him.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how great a player David Wright is. With the leather and the lumber. Flips that one into left field. Melky's there. So we will go to extra innings. Tied at 1.
Innings are presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Got a new pitcher coming in for the Twins. It is Fernando Abad, another one of those names frequently mentioned because left-handers with ERAs in the mid-2s are very valuable. On for the 38th time. Now, at times, they've been throwing him infrequently, leading to some speculation maybe he's not quite 100%, but I think the Twins want to show that he is, because left-handed relievers have a tremendous amount of value as we get closer to the trade deadline, to most teams in the race who need one more left-handed arm in that pen, and there's a lot of those.
Well, when you're carrying 7 guys in the pen, in the perfect world, the perfect mix would be 4 right-handers and 3 left-handers. If you've got 3 pretty decent, we were talking about it today, Steve. If you've got 3 pretty good left-handers out there at the pen, you can more or less control the ball game. So here's Avi. Only hit for Morneau.
At the assistant GM, Rob Anthony, who you just saw, he's the man in charge now of piloting the craft and making the deals.
Starts him off with a real soft changeup. To another count. Morneau tonight was 1 for 3. He had lined one hard, high off the wall in right field his first at bat.
That's a no double set because they are way back there. So Abad, who started out in the Houston Astro organization, spent a long time there fighting his way to the major leagues. He started in 2003, got to the big leagues in 2010. Was with Washington in 13, Oakland in 14 and 15, and now here with the Twins.
It's almost like an ethos changeup.
That went out of the zone, but it came up looking very inviting, and Avi fouled it back.
Now for us, this is our 10th extra inning game. We are 5 and 4. Then there's the fastball. We have played 6 on the road, and we have split them. For the Twinkies, this is their 9th. They have split the first 8. They have played 6 here at home, and they've won 4 of them.
Pretty interesting move by the Boston Red Sox tonight, Hawk. One of their #1 prospects, if not their #1, Yoan Moncada, pulled from the AA lineup tonight. And he's been speculated to go a lot of different places if the Red Sox do pull off a major deal.
Full count. Well, if that's the case, it looks like they're going to pull it off.
That guy is some player. 6'2", 230, 50 stolen base speed, and eventually he's going to have some big power.
There's that changeup. But Dombrowski's sitting in great shape. He's sitting there. He's got a blank checkbook. He's got an open checkbook. He's got a lot of prospects in the minor league system.
And he's got something else that's pretty interesting, and that is no allegiance to all of those guys. He didn't sign them. He didn't draft them. He didn't develop them. He came in. He got those guys, but he's got no emotional attachment to any one of them.
That is a great point. It really is. That's not talked about enough. Really. You know that.
Yeah.
And he kept throwing it. He was persistent. That's a great point. A lot of guys, a lot of GMs will not trade guys that are prospects that they signed. If they didn't, hey, that's okay. Get them out. We'll give them away. Not give them away, but we'll get something for them.
Sure. Got a different involvement with a guy you drafted or a guy you traded for. Trying to establish the fact that he was a very good deal when you made that trade.
So here's the honor. Breaking ball strike. That's why you got to operate under the mantra of you've never seen a player that couldn't be traded.
And also, look, how many chances are you going to get to actually be there? When you get a chance and you're knocking at the door, you got to do everything you can, because next week's not promised you. Next year for sure is not promised you. And some of the greatest teams ever develop who are going to do it next year find a way not to get it done next year. Jones if we score. Jones if we don't score. Robertson if we do.
Right field. That's going to be a fair ball. So DeHonor now on his way to second base. Now he's on his. No, and now he'll pull up. He just thought about the throw. Nail Melky. So the 1-out double. That's his 12th two-bagger.
This one down the line looked like it had a chance to be 3. Navarro sees it. This ball takes a strange hop away from Kepler. He's got to chase it down. But when DeHonor then takes a look back, as soon as he took a look back and realized that Kepler had the ball by the wall, he thought better of going to third base.
Shuck 0 for 2 with a walk. They got him hung up.
Well, Sano did a nice job on the tail end of this, because realizing that you want to take Navarro back to the bag he came from and make sure that J.B. Chuck has to stay at first base representing the go-ahead run. He eventually gets the ball. Nice play by Abad. Not a good base running play because you got to make it go through. And then Sano just figures he can run him down without making a throw and make sure that Chuck stays at first.
Well, you know, it is, but it's a tough play on Navarro. It really was. That ball's hit that hard up the middle. If he doesn't make the play, it's going to go through because, you know, it's hit that with that. I mean, it was vicious. It was a great play by Abad. Not a good base running play, sure, but one that you can understand. Yeah, you're on second base, balls hit that hard back through the middle. Your first tendency is to break to go to third. That's Saladino in the seats right side. This ball scalded.
This ball's hit awfully hard, and Abad makes a good play. But take a look at where Escobar is. He's going to catch that ball.
Yeah, he was.
Escobar's going to catch that ball. So, you know, you always talk about it where you say know where your fielders are.
You got to. You got to know it. You got to know it.
Yep.
The thing that got DeHonor was how hard it was.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's what got
it was a rocket.
Yeah. Yeah, you as a base runner, you've got to know where your outfielders are and where your infielders are if you're on second base. One and two.
Outfield very deep all the way around once again.
Yeah, that's got a piece of. That's symptomatic, though, Steve.
when things aren't going real well.
When things are not going well, they don't go well. Look at again, Quintana.
Yeah.
Look at Chris Sale last night. You know, he just ran up against Lackey, who dominated our guys. We couldn't do anything with him.
Well, especially a guy that had been 0-5 his last 7 starts. He comes out firing rockets right where he wants to throw them. Lackey had excellent control and won what for him personally and for the ball club was a big game.
Well, with his control, his moving it around, he pitched in and out. He also pitched up and down. When you got a guy hitting 4 spots, you got a problem as a hitter.
Yeah.
And what also impressed me about him was he reached back a couple of times. He put another 6 inches that I didn't think he had, but he had it.
Yeah, he's pitching at 90, 91. All of a sudden, you see 93, and just about every time you saw it eye high.
That's right.
So 93 looks like 96, and you just don't get around on it.
You got to be one great pitcher to be able to pitch in and out and win a lot of games, because hitters love to face guys who are just got to cover in and out. Softly hit. Escobar. All right, we'll go to the bottom of the 10th.
in the ball game. On for the 49th time. 4-2 ERA, just under 2.5. There you look at the rest of the numbers. They're pretty impressive. 50 strikeouts in 47 innings. He's only walked 10.
Suzuki, Buxton, and back to the top of the order with Dozier. $23,983, and they have been lively and into this ball game from pitch one. Actually, pitch two, it was hit out of here 440 feet by Adam Eaton.
Well, the boys have held down Suzuki tonight. Does have a line drive that coming in the second inning, but that was hit right at Anderson. Other than that, it's been an easy out. He's not usually like that for 4 at bats. Once again, we see Taylor Rogers. He was warming up earlier in the ball game. Should be loose by now.
Outfield slightly to the right, gap out there, and left center. $1-6. Check that. 1-5 and 1 for us. 1-8-0 for them. First of 3 tomorrow night. Miguel Gonzalez against Tommy Malone. That game will be over WPWR, my 50. And Joe Wu says that the scoreboard is wrong. We have 6-6. Indeed, Joe Groove is wrong. But then in the finale on Sunday, to be announced for us against Irving Santana. For them, that game will be over WGN. And off day on Monday in Detroit. We play the Tigers Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Oh, the dreaded leadoff walk.
Now the question is, if you're Paul Molitor, do you pinch run for your catcher? And that's answered. The answer is yes. Danny Santana comes on. He's very fast, 11 stolen bases, but he's not that great a base stealer. He's been gunned down 8 times.
He's got a lot of talent.
Yes, he does. He really does. He just needs an opportunity, and it comes first with Escobar what he does to secure the job at shortstop, because if he doesn't perform in the way you and I think he can, because we think the world of Eduardo Escobar, but Santana would probably be next in line for that spot. Not going to play center field with Buxton out there, and that's someplace else he's played. But he can play short.
So Buxton squares, bunts, quick throw, they get it. Good job by Nate taking his time and making a good throw to second.
Buxton picked on a pitch that was too high and couldn't do anything with it. He got it down. He was bidding for his 4th sacrifice, but bunted it too hard, and Nate just made sure one. You got 2 speed burners in Santana and Buxton. You want to make sure one.
Yeah, that's a tough. High fastball from a hard-throwing right-hander. Really tough pitch to bunt.
7 stolen bases. Got 1 time for Buxton.
And you got a good fastball out there on the bump, and you got a real good fastball hitter at the plate. Some of the best top hand. You take top hands in the American League. Dozier's one of them. Pedroia is another one. Altuve from Houston. All these guys got, well, Pedroia and Altuve got to have good top hands.
That's all you're looking at. Yeah, when you're 5'5", 5'6", you're looking at a lot of high fastballs. By the way, the guy we saw at Wrigley Field, Javier Baez, got a pretty good top hand too.
He got a great top hand. He got great hip action. I tell you, he's one of the few guys, not big guy, but he was one of the few guys that ever remind me of Troy Cannon and Jimmy Wynn, swinging a bat, especially with his hips. Gets that one by him. That one at 96. High run if you're just getting home, getting in. Game in the first inning. A 440-foot home run by Adam Eaton. Way up in that upper tank in right center field. They scored their run in the sixth. He had 4 hits. Only 1 hit hard. That was a ground ball hustle double up the middle by Sano. Dozier with a little 2-hopper infield single. Vargas with a broken, shattered bat, Kansas City special. And Kepler with a Kansas City special infield hit. Do this at your pace, Nate. Just hold the ball if you want. That's going to bother Buxton a little bit, and Dozier at the plate. Got him, slider. Nasty.
Now that last slider at 88, not going to be hit by anybody. If you don't lay off, you're not going to hit it. And so here comes Don Cooper now. Dozier goes down on strikes. Sure doesn't feel great about it, but if you don't lay off that, you see that expression on his face. He knows he can't hit it, but he committed and he couldn't check it up.
Yeah, when you're running 96, 97 up there, and all of a sudden get that slide over, grab some bench.
At 88? Yeah.
Let's see what my boy did tonight. Yeah, Atlanta beat Philly 2-1 down in Atlanta. And AJ went 1 for 3. He's starting to swing the bat all right.
Salary drive.
Boy, that's a dinosaur term, isn't it?
It is, because now the salary's already driven. You don't have to worry about it.
Don't worry about AJ. He's got every dime he ever made. Lisa made sure of that. Robbie Grossman. That ball in the left center field. Melky. He runs it down. Piece of cake. And we'll go to the 11th.
Wings are presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Nice view on a beautiful night in the Twin Cities, and we've got a new battery in the ball game. It's Taylor Rogers on for the 31st time, 3-0. He's been very good. 280, that's making the conversion from a starter to a pensman. You can see left-handers don't do anything with him. Right-handers have hit him pretty well. He's allowed 4 home runs. And he's going to throw to Juan Centeno. Centeno behind the plate, and Rogers on the hill.
So here is Sanchez. 0 for 3 tonight. Last time got called out on a very bad pitch. That's out of play very quickly. 0-2. Left side. Escobar right over the top.
Rogers has 20 appearances here at Target Field where he's been especially good. A 3-0 record, but a 1.27 ERA.
Also, if you're just tuning in, Quintana started, pitched another typical Quintana game. 6 2/3, 1 run, 7 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. Gave up a real cheesy run with that's foul ball. A little soft 2-hop infield single, hard double.
Paul Molitor is saying that Adam Eaton was out in front of the plate when the ball hit him. Now they want to meet with all the umpires. We'll take a look. Adam bunts it. Comes up and hits him, but
from that angle, he could be out.
hit his forearm.
Yeah.
And they're going to let him continue the at-bat.
Yeah, well, for them to call that particular play there, it's got to be definitive.
Yes. I think maybe if it had hit him in the lower part of the body as he came out, that'd have been one thing. But hitting the lead arm when his feet are still somewhat in the batter's box, I think too close to call for them.
Oh, and 2 the count.
You get a pretty good idea why lefties don't do much with Rogers. They got a decision to make with him because they really like him as a starting pitcher, but he's found a spot in the bullpen. And with that stuff, you can understand why they'd like him out there.
So here's Anderson. Tim 0 for 4. Last time up, 9th inning, drilled a bullet right to Kepler in right field.
Rogers not a real young pitcher. 29 years old, should be in the prime of things. 11th round draft pick originally.
Easy inning for him. And we'll go to the bottom of the 11th. Sano, Vargas, and Kepler.
inning for Jose Quintana, and he got away with only 1 run. So in the 6th, an infield chopper. Severino can't get out of glove, and Dozier's aboard. Then a rocket of a double by Sano. The runners at 2nd and 3rd, a base hit. The 1-run scores, and then Adam Eaton, his first of 2 assists tonight, guns down Sano by plenty. This one off the knee of Quintana. That by Kepler, that's a 4th hit. But that was it. Only 1 run scored. That's why we are here, and that's why David Robertson comes into a tie game in the bottom of the 11th, right through the heart of the order. And there are the numbers on for the 41st time. 2-2 record, 24 of 28 in save opportunities, and an ERA up there. But for closers, ERAs are irrelevant. It's saves and opportunities that pay off.
Snow, a couple of strikeouts, that bullet double. As he takes strike 1. Snow, 23 years old.
It's lively a bat, as you'll see.
He's, plus being just a lot of times guys who are not real strong still have lively at bats.
Yeah.
This guy's strong and lively. That'll calm down. That's lively at bat. 1 gone. Oh, when he can get that curveball over anytime he wants, he is really tough.
Yes, sir. And this man from the left side's got some big power.
He's 1 for 3 with that broken bat, shattered bat. Little duck snort into right field. Drove in their run. There he drops the hook with a strike. That ball had part of the zone at the bottom.
There's Trevor May starting to throw in the pen.
Ate him up. 2 down.
That was a beautiful fastball right in on his hands, and he couldn't get the hands out. Didn't make much contact. It was easy after that. Well, here's the hottest hitter in their lineup, the man with 8 home runs in July. And his base hit, a 1-hopper right off Quintana's knee.
Jono. Escobar on deck. Three and 0, and he's hitting.
Escobar in the on-deck circle. That looked a bit like a pitch around to their hottest hitter at this point in a righty-lefty matchup. He's got decent speed, but not game-breaking speed. He's stolen a couple of bases this year.
Eduardo's 1 for 4. That sharp single in the hole between third and short, leading off the second inning. Decent lead by Kepler, that's all. Oh, and 2 the count. We can get out of this. In the 12th, it'll be Cabrera, Abreu, the first 2. And Avi.
Got a running start that time. Let the ball fouled off.
Jacks it up. Checking some scores for you. Texas beat Kansas City 8-3 down at Arlington. St. Louis 11-6 over Miami in Florida. Cleveland beat Oakland 5-3 at Progressive Field. Cubs just thumped Seattle 12-1 at Wrigley. Toronto beat Baltimore 6-5 up in County. Mets continue to struggle with that offense. They got beat by Colorado 6-1. There he goes. Sanchez got him. And we're into the 12th.
Innings are presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
We've got a new pitcher coming into ball game, and it is Trevor May on for the 38th time. ERA up near 5.5, but 51 strikeouts and 36 in the third. And he's got to go right through the heart of this order with a few Sox fans still in attendance on this beautiful Friday night. Get a runner on. May has made 8 wild pitches this year. Far and away the team lead.
There's Melky. 2 for 4, a double and a single. Takes first pitch strike. Taking some other scores for you. Tampa Bay beat the Yankees 5-1 down in St. Pete. Detroit thumped Houston 14-6 at Comerica Park. That's foul backing out of play. Bottom of the 5th. The Big A in Anaheim, 3-2 Boston. Dodgers shutting out the D-backs 3-0 after 4 in Los Angeles. D-backs 42-60 on the season.
And those Dodgers getting a whole lot closer to San Francisco. Interesting thing out of New York, they're talking about the fact that they might be entertaining offers for Andrew Miller. After trading Aroldis Chapman, Miller would really bring a bundle.
Brian Cashman is good at his job.
Well, look, he got the most for Chapman by saying that they're not going to trade Miller. Well, now he's traded Chapman. He got Gleyber Torres, a terrific young shortstop from the Cubs. Billy McKinney, a guy they got from Oakland, who's a decent outfielder, but Torres was the star of that deal. Now they trade Miller, who's under control for a few more years. Now they've got something they can really cash in on.
Well, if they're going to do that and tear up that 3-headed monster with Betances and Miller and Chapman, which they did, Cashman wants to break it down. He wants to break it down and get something for those guys and start again. And the kids don't want to do that. Remember, the boys don't want to do that.
The one thing is knowing that you've got Betances at the back end. He's going to be your closer. You're going to be able to get a bundle of prospects back for Andrew Miller because of the controllability of Miller. Whoever's going to get him is not only going to get this year, they're going to get a couple years after this.
Well, I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cubs weren't talking to them about Miller.
Well, obviously, I mean, that's a team that was mentioned prominently for both of them, for getting both.
Yeah.
And they got the prospects to do it. And with the Yankees, if you look all the way around, I mean, they're an older team. They're going to have to retool here because El Teixeira is going to be a free agent. Beltran's, what, 39 years old?
They are not an older team. They are an old team.
They're an old team. So they got to do something. I mean, you can't go with what they have now. And their system has been okay, just okay, not great last few years.
Well, Joe wants to break it down, and also Brian Cashman.
Yeah, you can understand that. With what the Yankees have tried to accomplish, they're still over 500.
Joe's done a great job with it. With what he's had to run out there for the last 4 or 5 years, he's done a terrific job. You don't judge a manager on wins and losses. You judge him on what he did with what he had.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think Joe's outstanding.
Jammed himself right there on a good pitch to hit a cookie. Watch this.
He wants it away, but that one kind of rolls over the middle of the plate.
Whew. So here's Avi. Avi's been on the plate one time. Struck out. Breaking ball, no. Washington at San Francisco. That game tied at 1, bottom of the 4th inning. Scherzer on the bump for the Nasty Nats. Ball hit hard. Meanwhile, Sano's got him. Oh, what a gun. Wow. Right over the top. And a 1-2-3 inning. In place of David Robertson will be Dan Jennings. There are his numbers. Making his 39th appearance, 4-2. Very fine ERA of 1.62. He's got good stuff. He throws strikes. Most of the time he gets you out. So he will be our 6th pitcher. Quintana started. Did a terrific job. 6 2/3, 1 run. 7 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. And Albers were inning in the 3rd. Duke for an inning. Jones for an inning. Robertson for an inning. And now Jennings.
Nice job by David Robertson as he came on. Looked to me like he didn't want any part of Max Kepler, who is a guy that, if you're looking at scouting reports, is saying he's the best they have right now as far as the hottest. And so you pitch around him, 4 straight bad ones, and retire Escobar, get out of the inning.
Well, when he's getting his curveball over when he wants to, like he is right now, the last few times out, David Robertson's good. Really, I mean, he's really good. And he's in that mindset right now. I talked to him the other night. He's in that mindset that, quote, he's back. So here is Eddie Rosario. 0 for 4 tonight. A couple of flyouts to the left, a couple of strikeouts.
Twins bullpen up and going. In case they keep it alive.
We only have 6 hits in this game if you're just getting home. 1-6 and 1 for us, 1-8 and 0 for them.
Been a relatively long unoffensive night. Leadoff home run by Eaton and then a lot of crickets.
Nolasco pitched well, but he got away with some mistakes.
You're going to have to. Most guys going to have to get away with some.
Well, if they hit every mistake, you wouldn't be around very long.
Nope. High ERAs, lots of losses as Boschers gets loosened up in the pen just in case.
That's what major league hitting is about anyway. That's why you don't learn to hit at the major league level. You learn how to be dangerous at the major league level.
Just hit the mistakes.
And if you make a good pitch with me on your curveball, I'm grabbing some bench, and I understand that. I understand which is important. But if you miss and hang that sucker, or you throw me that fastball middle in, and I hit it out on you, you're going to understand.
Well, sure. I mean, you make a mistake, and you know you're going to pay the price for it. But a lot of guys have spent many, many years in the major leagues and have made a lot of money in the major leagues, and they're known as great mistake hitters. And you say, well, they're easy to get out. Yeah, they are if you make the perfect pitch. But when you miss, they don't foul it back. They hit it hard.
They don't pop it up, and they don't ground it out. They hit it very hard. Sorry. Just nipped him.
Well, that's the best way to get hit. He's almost gotten hit a couple of times tonight. Quintana buzzed a couple up and in on him, and this time, yeah, if you're going to get hit on the uniform.
I think he's just a little, as you framed it, he's just a little upset at being pitched inside. Like
Well,
that.
you know, if the scouting report didn't say that you have a hard time getting your hands out on the inside pitch, well, then you wouldn't be pitched in there.
Centeno. Juan Centeno, catcher.
Doesn't have a sacrifice yet, but we're going to see one here.
I played with a lot of guys, played against a lot of guys that were, as you mentioned, strictly what we call crip hitters, 2-0-3-1, and mistake hitters. You make a decent pitch on them, you got them. You make a good pitch on them, they had no chance.
So he gets him, and the winning run moves to second base. Rosario with some conversation for Carlos Sanchez, and now Byron Buxton.
He's 1 for 4 with a double, hard double right down the left field line.
And he's been a legitimate five-tool player since being drafted by the Twins.
Well, with the exception of one area. But he has certainly got a big upside in that one area, and that's hitting.
You know, he's 300 hitter in the minors, but
that's what I'm saying.
But it's different. It's different up here. I mean, very different.
Oh, it's a different. I mean, it's like night and day. And the funny thing about it is once you get up here and you've torn the minor leagues up and you play for about a month, you realize most guys, this is not what I expected. This is a little tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Well, they get your soft spots, and then they make you hit those, because you're going to see a bunch of them.
3-0. And it wouldn't surprise me, even with Dozier on deck. It wouldn't surprise me if he turned this young man loose. Try to give him a little confidence. Since you're not going to go to postseason. Taking all the way. Right there.
Don Cooper wants to know if the bullpen is ready to go. Then he wants to extricate himself from the telephone cord.
And that's ball 4. Yeah, there are a lot of managers that will do that with young players who have a tremendous upside as you look at Canely.
Well, look, here's a situation with Paul Molitor, and he knows this better than anybody. This year he's in the confidence building situation because he knows that a lot of guys, when they're ready to win again, when this Minnesota team is ready to win again, a lot of these guys that are playing here tonight will not be playing. He knows that. So the guys he thinks are going to be here, he's got to get them to think they're the best players in the world.
That's what that guy we just got finished with does.
Yeah, he does. Joe Madden,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what he does.
Out comes Jennings. And we will be back as Tommy Kahnle saunters in from the pen. It's our Midas call to the pen, and it's Tommy Kahnle. Not a whole lot of margin for error. Runners at first and second. The only man that counts is standing at second base. That's Rosario on for the 11th time. ERA 3.86. 7 strikeouts, but 8 walks in 9 1/3. And he's going to face, if not their best hitter, certainly their most dangerous, Brian Dozier. Dan Jennings hit Rosario, walked Buxton, sacrifice in between.
One out, 2 on. Tied at 1, bottom of the 12th inning. Fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter.
Rosario doesn't run often, but you have to keep your eye on him.
And Dozier, the last couple of years, has been able to move the ball to the right side pretty well. So Sanchez is going to have to be on his toes out there. Fastball upstairs at 96. Now Dozier's got the catbird seat. 2-0. Yes, he did. No, he didn't, said Jim Wolf. So to count 3-0.
Don Cooper coming out from the dugout. Many years ago, I had a pretty good manager and had a pitcher who had a tendency to, if he didn't inherit trouble, he would make his own. So with 2 outs, nobody on that he had gotten in a 1-run lead in the 9th inning, he walked the bases loaded and went 3-0 on the next hitter. The manager told the pitching coach, go out there and say something to him. So the pitching coach goes walking out like Don Cooper. And the pitcher says, you're going to tell me if I throw another ball, I'm going to tie it up. Don't you think I know that? Go back and tell that guy to sit down. You're strike 1, strike 2, ground ball to second base, out of the inning with the save. Let's see if Don Cooper has that message.
Man, you got Joe Mauer up there at the plate. Joe was given a night off because of Quintana. Pretty good spot for the veteran to step into.
Especially one that usually makes some contact.
Sox packed with Twinkies. 1 out.
Infield in. Can't depend on turning 2.
Takes first pitch strike. At 97.
Mauer only has 2 sacrifice flies this year. Only grounded into 5 double plays, and if he grounds into one here, it's going to have to be of the home to first variety.
Watch out. Don't throw it away.
Rosario is yelling out at Melky.
Yeah.
Tell him to throw the ball home. I got in the scouting report. I'm not falling for that one.
Outfield in as far as their arms will allow, fortunately, and right and left pretty close. A big pitch coming up right here, the 1-1. All right, Grease tea time here. Boy, Blue Plate specials, 2-1, 1 out. Sox tie game, bottom of the 12th with the infield in. That's it. That's the Blue Plate special.
And a 3-time American League batting champion up.
Ball game is over. Steve, once again, Quintana would be in Quintana.
Yeah, and the sad part about it's another no decision, a long way to go, and in the end, it was lack of control that did the ball club in. So we'll be right back at it tomorrow, an hour earlier, so get your rest. And here is ball 4, way out of the zone. Mauer drives in the winning run, albeit the quiet variety.
All right, so for my partner Steve Stone, our director Jim Angio, our Hall of Fame director Jim Angio, our producer John Walgren, our associate producer Joe Grube, our very fine technical manager Mark Harper, and also Mitch Griffin, Jim Petros, Chris Trudeau, Teresa Day up here in the booth, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. This is the Hawks Along, everybody. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.